Hello, Digital Learning Day 5, 8th grade math. And number 1 says a line segment has endpoints at -116 and 11.7. What is the length of this line segment? And if we think back to our Pythagorean theorem unit, we remember that we can take these points, stack them, and subtract them to find the leg lengths of our triangle, and then use those, plug those into the formula for Pythagorean theorem to solve for C, which would be our hypotenuse, which would be the length of this line segment. So let's go ahead and start by stacking and subtracting our points. So I have -116 and 11.7. 16 minus 7 is 9, and -1 minus 11 is -12. So those are going to be the leg lengths of my triangle. So here, if I had a right triangle, I could say, okay, one of my leg lengths is, and remember with leg lengths, we would take the absolute value of a negative number. So one of my leg lengths is going to be 12 and one is going to be 9. And then I'm going to utilize those to find the length of the line segment between those two given points. So I would use a squared plus b squared plus, equals c squared, equals c squared, where a and b are my leg lengths. So I have 9 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. 9 squared is going to be 81 plus 12 squared, which is 144, equals c squared. And then 81 plus 144 is 225, equals c squared. And remember, we don't want to know what c squared equals. We want to know what c equals. So in order to get c on a side by itself, I have to take the square root. So the square root of 225 is 15. So 15 equals C. So the length of my line segment is 15 units. So here C would equal 15. And that makes common sense, remember, because our hypotenuse is our longest leg, and 15 is longer than 9 and 12. Number 2 says, which direction would you move second to get to the ordered pair -5, 2? So this is talking about if we're starting at the origin. If we're starting at the origin, the first number in our coordinate pair, this first number is our x value. So an x moves left and right on the coordinate plane. The second number is our y value, and y moves up and down on the coordinate plane. If the number is negative, we're going to be moving left if it's x and down if it's y. If the number is positive, we're going to be moving right if it's a positive x and up if it's a positive y. So my first movement here is going to be left 5 units. And then my second unit, or my second movement, would be up 2 units. And the question asked me, which direction would I move second? So the answer to that would be up. Number 3, solve for D, showing your work. So I have 2 times D plus 6 equals -2D minus 12. So I've got that written down on my paper. The first thing I want to do is any distributive property. I do have distributive property here, so this is going to be 2D plus 2 times 6, which is positive 12, equals -2D minus 12. I want to get my variable to one side of the equation. So I'm going to add 2D here to create a zero pair with my variable on this side. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side, so it will remain balanced, a balanced equation. So I have 4D plus 12 equals negative 12. Then I want to get my constant to one side of the equation, so I'm going to subtract 12. And that creates a zero pair here. I'm left with 4D equals negative 12 minus 12 is negative 24. This is one of those situations where it's important you use your calculator, because in our 8th grade brains, we may think that that's 0. We may just visualize that as 0, but that's not true. When we put it in the calculator, negative 12 minus another 12 is a negative 24. Now D is being multiplied by 4, so the inverse would be dividing by 4. 4 over 4 creates 1, so I'm left with 1D equals negative 24 divided by 4, which is a negative 6. So D equals negative 6, and I can check my work by substituting that back into the original equation. Everywhere I see the letter D, I'm going to put the number negative 6 and then simplify. So negative 6 plus 6 is a zero pair. 2 times 0 is 0. And a negative times a negative is a positive. So that's positive 12 minus 12, which is another zero pair. And 0 does indeed equal 0. So I know my answer is correct. Number 4. A wise man once said, 400 reduced by 3 times my age is 163. What is his age? So I'm just going to walk through this problem here, and 400 reduced by would be subtraction. So subtracted by 3 times my age. The age is the unknown, and 3 times the unknown would be 3x. Is means equals 163. So now I'm going to try to isolate my x term on one side. This is a positive 400, so I want to subtract 400, and I'm going to do that from both sides of my equation. This creates a zero pair, and I'm left with negative 3x equals 163 minus 400 is negative 237. Now x is being multiplied by negative 3, so I need to divide by negative 3 to do the inverse operation. Negative 3 over negative 3 is 1, so I'm left with 1x equals negative 237 divided by negative 3 is 79. So the wise old man is 79 years old. And then the last problem says you're locked out of your house and the only open window is on the 2nd floor, 25 feet above the ground. You need to borrow a ladder from one of your neighbors. There's a bush along the edge of the house, so you'll have to place the ladder 10 feet from the house. What length of ladder do you need to reach the window? Problems like this, when we draw it out, when we draw out a picture, we realize that we're utilizing the Pythagorean theorem to solve for the length of the ladder, and the ladder would represent C in the Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to go to the next page here. Give me some room to work it out. And I'm going to draw a picture. I'm going to draw my house. Here's my window up here I need to go to. And the window is 25 feet above the ground. So this length here would be 25 feet. I need my ladder to go up to the second window, to the second story window. And there's a bush here that causes me to put this ladder 10 feet out from the window. So I know that my leg lengths are 25 and 10. That would represent my A and my B. And I'm solving for the length of the ladder, which is C. So I have A squared plus B squared equals C squared, where A is 25, B is 10, and C squared is C is our unknown. 25 squared is 625, plus 10 squared is 100, equals C squared. 625 plus 100 is 725, equals C squared. Remember, we don't stop here. We don't want to know what C squared equals. We want to know what C equals. So we're going to take the square root of both sides, and 725 squared, or the square root of 725, sorry, comes up on my calculator as 5 times the square root of 29. We need a better estimate of how long we want that ladder to be. So I'm going to hit my next button. And I don't know how to do it on this calculator. Oh, there we go. And it is going to be 26.9, approximately 30 feet. So we're going to put, that's approximately 30. And remember, those squiggly equal signs means approximately. So if we're talking about the length of a ladder, we can round it to the nearest foot. So we need a ladder approximately 30 feet tall in order to reach that window that is 25 feet above the ground. Y'all have a great day.